Welcome to the Gay Wellness Podcast. My name is Darren Main, and in this podcast we talk to healers who work predominantly with gay, bisexual, and queer men to find better versions of themselves, to heal their body, heart, and mind, and basically live a better life. And today I have a beautiful special guest. His name is Lamont White. He is known as the gay dating coach. I can't even say dating. My God. You're arriving not a moment too soon in my life, Lamont. His website, Better Way to Meet, it's also his business, and he does all sorts of great stuff to help gay men find love and intimacy and connection. We're going to be talking all about that and some of the blocks that you may be encountering as you navigate the dating field. And we're going to focus specifically on one aspect of dating as gay men, and that is interracial dating and the challenges and the beauty that that presents to us. Before we dive into all of that, I am going to put resources in the show notes that will include Lamont's website and his YouTube channel and his social media accounts, as well as his gay wellness profile, so you can reach out to him and work with him if you'd like to. I'll also put information about my work, my website, coaching, teaching yoga, and so on, as well as my gay wellness profile in the show notes. And we both hope to hear from you soon. So, Lamont, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, and thank you for that great intro. And it seems like dating is close to your heart, or like in your near future, maybe, Darren.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm perpetually single, so if you can find me my soulmate, we'll know you're a pro.
Yes.
So, the gay dating coach, that seems like an odd career choice and a great one. I think there's a lot of men out there that are thrilled that you're doing it, but I'm wondering, how did you find this path as a sort of healer helping gay men find love?
Yeah, so Darren, I work with gay men, same gender loving, queer, bisexual men all over the United States. I even have some clients who are overseas in London that I work with, and I exclusively work with us. And I, probably TMI, I thought I was going to be a preacher growing up way back in the day. And God was like, nah, maybe you should just help gay men find love and just really being the best versions of themselves. So I have a weird background in public health, and as a therapist for a very long time, particularly working with gay men, like in couples. And I learned, Darren, that gay men don't know how to date. We just weren't taught. Like we know how to hook up. We know how to, do fashion. We know how to be doctors, lawyers, all of that. But when it comes to navigating a relationship or just being romantic, we fail epically. So I went back to school and got a certification in professional matchmaking and dating coaching. And I've been doing it for almost 10 years now, really helping guys find love.
Well, can I ask just a top level question before we dive into the deeper topic for today? Sure. Why do you think it is that gay men have so many challenges? Like, it's like, that trope or that joke, what does a gay man bring on a second date? What's a second date? The lesbian brings the U-Haul, and the gay man is like, what's a second date? I'm wondering, why is that? Because those tropes come from somewhere. I mean, yeah. I'd like to think it's not true, but let's face it.
I cringe because I'm like, there are gay men out there who want long-lasting relationships, and there are gay men out there that are in awesome, relationships and marriages. The challenge is, if you're around my age, Darren, there were
25.
Add 20 years. There were no role models on TV. There were no role models in our homes, our communities, where we got to see two gay men loving each other. We just didn't have those examples. So the examples that we're left with are straight folks, right? And There's a man and a woman in a straight relationship. In gay relationships, there are two men. So how do two men argue? How do two men navigate those relationships? We just weren't taught those. So we make a lot of mistakes. We do, So,
Yeah.
and I say I give gay men, a second chance, third chance, because we just really weren't taught how to date.
Yeah. Well, it just again I don't know if you watch this show. I watched it with my son, my 13-year-old son,
Mhm, mhm.
called The Last of Us. Have you seen this show?
No, I have not watched that show. You have to tell me about it.
I won't. It's a zombie apocalypse type based on a video game, which shocked me. But in episode 3, there's this now famous episode that involves two gay men falling in love. Very
Oh.
unlikely gay men falling in love. And it's really, really beautiful. And and as I was watching it and weeping, I was I was like, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen like just not a gay story, but just woven into the fabric of day to day zombie apocalypse life.
Yes,
Like
yes.
two men, like being loving, being partners, being like what you think of as a partnership that
Mhm,
is
mhm.
both sexy and romantic and bickering at times and the whole thing. And
Yeah,
anyway, as you were talking, I'm like, wow,
yeah.
you need to watch The Last of Us. It's a
That's
great show, but that third episode is knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, so
Anyway,
representation, Darren, matters so much. Even throwing a random gay couple in a zombie, game or a movie, it matters because if gay men don't see themselves, then we think that there is something wrong with us. We think that we should not exist, and that tells us about who we are, and that does not bode well for our self-esteem. And then when we try to get into a relationship, that impacts our relationships so greatly. So when you talk about representation and being seen and having role models, that helps us to develop healthy relationships. We need to see
yeah.
them.
Um, well, let's dive in a little bit deeper into the topic. And I
Mhm.
love that you chose this topic, interracial dating in 2023. Um, and I think that there's so much to unpack here, but um, I'm wondering if you could just say why you chose that topic, and then I have a very specific question about it that maybe that will start us off. But I love the
Sure.
topic, and I'm wondering what made you think that this is what gay men really need to hear about right now.
Right. So, Darren, I'm the guy that likes to talk about elephants in the room, right? I'm okay with having uncomfortable conversations. And I picked interracial dating because sometimes guys are uncomfortable about talking about dating outside of their race, the reasons why to do it, or the reasons that might not be the best reasons to date outside of your relationship.
You mean
So,
like
I think
fetishizing somebody because of
right,
whatever?
right, right. Like I always say, there are two clear reasons not to date outside of your race, and that is if you are trying to fetishize someone, or if you are treating people like they are flavors, right? So like, oh, I'm gonna date this flavor of the week. No one wants to be your flavor, right? Or your experience at all. So I do feel like, particularly for guys who say, hey, I'm having a hard time finding Mr. Right. And I say, well, have you brought in your preferences? Because that's what people say. These are my preferences. Are you opening up your preferences to different income, different locations, but also race? If you're
Hmm.
like, oh, I can only date within my race, okay, have at it, keep going at it. But if you're having challenges, I suggest opening up to different races and talking about different ways that you can do that appropriately
Yeah.
or successfully.
Well, let me ask. Speaking of elephants in the room,
Mhm.
I think that each of us has our own journey to self-acceptance,
Mhm.
and that the door through that is through our sort of our lived experience. Like I'm a white Catholic boy, that
Mhm.
had all the guilt and shame that comes with being raised Catholic,
Mhm.
and then my experience as a white boy turned man.
Mhm.
and a gay man, and my family responded to my gayness the way they did,
Mhm, mhm,
sometimes really well, in some areas not so well.
mhm.
And I think that all of us, as we're sort of coming into our own as gay men, it's being filtered through our race, our
Mhm,
religion,
mhm.
our cultural background.
Mhm.
And every culture handles this differently,
Yeah.
some more gracefully than others.
Mhm,
And so if I start dating somebody who has a different experience coming out, or a different relationship with their family
mhm,
or their God or their religion or whatever it is, it seems like there's an added layer of friction there that
mhm.
it could be beautiful to work through together and could also potentially be a challenge. Am I missing that? Or
Oh, definitely. So there, excuse me. If you are going to date outside of your race, there's a definitely an extra hurdle that you have to overcome, because you look at the science, the data. Most people pick a partner based on if their parents will be satisfied with that partner, regardless of sexual orientation, race. Most people want to bring someone home that your parents are going to say thumbs up to. So you pick your partners based on your parents' viewpoints. And so if you're going to step outside the race, one thing I would say before you do that is, one, make sure there are boundaries set and expectations set with your parents, your friends, your family members. Because if you bring that person of a different race, culture, background home, or to the birthday event, to the picnic, you want people there to be respectful, um, and making sure the environment is safe and cool for your partner. That
yeah,
is not the time to just randomly bring someone home and then everyone is looking like, hmm, like what's going on. That's a
yeah,
horrible environment for your potential date or partner to be in.
yeah. Um, have you seen Get Out?
Yes, I have. I
Yeah.
think you love. I can. Somebody likes watching movies. I can see.
Well, I love pop culture, but
Yeah.
that whole, I mean, there's the horror movie part of it, but then there's
Mhm,
this whole subtext of this sort of white liberal family, wealthy
mhm,
family, and she's bringing her black boyfriend home,
mhm,
and just the painful awkwardness of like this interaction where they're not trying to be mean, they're trying to be welcoming, and they're sort of
mhm.
checking the right boxes, but it's still awkward and awful.
Right. So I tell people, just be, if you, when you talk about like how your family members should
Yeah,
interact with the person you're dating of a different race, be your normal self. Like,
yeah,
don't make any assumptions. Um, don't lean on any stereotypes. Treat the person like a person and just ask questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's obvious challenges, but
Mhm,
I think there's obvious, or maybe not so obvious,
mhm,
benefits to
mhm,
like. I feel like when I spend time with people who are different than me,
mhm, mhm,
not polar opposites, but just like a different lived experience, different points of view, different religious and cultural experiences, they make me a better person. Help me to challenge my assumptions about myself, about other people, about the
mhm,
world, about politics, about
mhm,
whatever.
mhm, mhm.
I'm wondering if you could talk about the benefits. I mean, we talk about the challenges,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so the benefit is that you get to evolve. You get to experience a different culture. You get to challenge your own belief system. You get to write the narrative of what a relationship looks like for the two of you. And that is, I feel like, Darren, is just so beautiful. And it really cements you all's relationship. It just forces you all to
yeah,
just be that more intimate and that more team, whatever you all want to call yourselves, together.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how this is sort of like the subtle, not so attractive part of the gay community,
Mhm, mhm,
especially in a bigger city. I think in a smaller location, this might be a little different because there's a lot fewer people. But in a bigger city, we're very, very segregated. We
mhm,
like to think that we're so woke, but like in the gay community, we have the bears and the twinks and the leather daddies and
Yes, we have
the
all these
black gay
subpopulations.
community, the Asian, the white, and it's all like there's bars for each. And how do you support people in like if say I want to start
Mhm.
expanding my horizons and dating outside of my comfort zone?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, how would I go about doing that when everything is so naturally segregated or
yeah. I think
unnaturally segregated?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely in the gay community, there are so many subpopulations, and they even have a flag for each subpopulation.
Contingent in the parade.
Yes, yes. It's just like it's like 30 different flags. But I think you have to step outside of your box. So I would say before you say you want to date someone outside of your race, you have to be a part of that community. That's the key. So that means going to different cultural events, going to different festivals, um, um, voting in their interests. Like if there are different advocacy opportunities, you might want to volunteer somewhere. You might want to look at what are some key things about that community, that race, that you could support. It when you first start dating outside your race, that is not the time to learn about that person's culture. You
Mm,
should have already done your homework, have a couple friends, associates who are part of that community so that you can learn the norms, the values, the customs of that community. And that's key. So that
yeah,
way, when you go on a date with someone, you're not interviewing them. You're not asking a whole bunch of questions because best believe if you date someone outside of your race, they're going to want to know, well, am I a fetish? Are you connected to this community already?
yeah.
Yeah.
What, like when you say maybe you could help, because I think some people haven't really thought this through, but
Mhm,
um, like I get this comment if I'm out and about,
mhm,
somebody will come up to me and say, "Are you into fill in the blank, whatever race or background that person is?" And I'm like, "If you're nice, yeah. If you're sexy, yeah."
yeah, yeah.
But I feel like it's an odd question to lead with,
Mhm,
but I think that that's coming from somewhere because I'm assuming a lot of people say, "No, I don't date that kind of person,"
mhm, mhm, mhm,
and probably not in the nicest of ways. And
mhm,
so, what can we all do to like express an interest in someone,
mhm.
um, and not have it sound creepy? Like, I think you're really hot or you're beautiful, without
Right.
saying like, I'm really into black guys or I'm really into Asian guys or whatever it is. Like, how do I say that without saying like, "Hi, you're an object. I'd like to."
Right. You don't want to over sexualize a group of people.
Yeah,
So which is why I push people. I say, well, first let me back up. Most people date within their race. That is totally fine. Support it. Have at it. Most people do. However, there are a smaller percentage of people who explore other races and ethnicities and communities. And
mm,
if they're going to do that, it's more so learning about the community, also being connected to the community. When I say connected, I mean like if you're going to date someone who is Asian, you have Asian friends. If you
yeah,
are going to date someone who's Asian, you go to different Asian advocacy events, cultural events. You one community is not like a monolith, so I get that, but you should learn some general themes, customs, you know, and like celebrations, you name it, so that you can be connected to that community. You come
yeah,
across um, as fetishizing when you're not connected. Yeah.
yeah. So I have two questions for you.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, the first question, and I think the most important that's on everybody's mind here,
mhm,
because they're all getting ready to type you an email right now, is: Are you
mhm.
single and available?
I'm happily married.
Damn.
happily married. However, I can find you some great guys. I do matchmaking all over the United States.
Well, that was my question. Like you do matchmaking, and
Mhm.
I mean, like culturally speaking, like every culture's had some sort of a yenta,
Yes.
somebody that was like the village matchmaker, just said, "You'd be great. You need to meet so and so," both in terms of like business relationships as well as
Mhm.
friendships, but then of course dating and arranged marriage, not arranged marriages in a bad way, but in like oh, you two need to connect. You
Mhm. Mhm.
perfect, and they're just naturally good at it. Most
Mhm.
people try and fix me up, and it's just awful.
Yeah, friends do a horrible job unless you give them like a list. Like these are things I need in a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, what does that look like to work with you? Like, I mean, like if I
Yeah.
called you and said, I think I'm ready to
Mhm.
look for something deeper, but I'm really struggling. I've gone on dates. I've been on Grinder and Scruff and
Mhm.
OK Cupid or Tinder or whatever, and
Yeah.
this never follow through. It usually turns out to be a hookup. I never hear from them again.
Mhm.
What am I doing wrong? How can you help me? What does that look like?
Right. So guys come to me for a number of reasons. And the main reason is that guys want, when they come to me, they want a more meaningful connection. They can get sex, hookups, dates anywhere. However, they're looking for compatibility. So I literally interview everyone that works with me via Zoom, or we meet in person over lunch. And I get to know my clients very well. Some of them will tell you like we're almost like friends, because like when they get in arguments, they call me. When they're having a good time, they call me. I really get to know my clients because I want to know who you are, ways that we can polish you up, because everybody needs a little bit of polishing to make sure that they are more dateable. And then guys tell me what they're looking for in a match. And that could be around like age range, sexual compatibility, height, race, location. And I go out and I interview guys if they're not already in my database, and I find compatible guys based on our conversations. I arrange in-person dates. I don't do dinner dates. I do very fun interactive dates for my clients, like bowling, axe throwing, rock climbing. I send them on dates, and I stay in contact with both of the guys because they're both now my clients as long as they're dating. So when they get in that first argument, they call me. If they need date ideas, they call me. Even like this morning, I woke up to an amazing text message. One of my couples who have been dating for 3 years, they proposed, right? And I was the
Wow.
first person that they told before mom and dad. Yeah. So we stayed.
You're like their
We
unofficial. You're the unofficial mom, I
Yeah,
think.
right. I'm the gay mom, right? But we
Yeah.
stay in contact because I want to support their relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this is maybe a topic for a whole nother episode, but when you ask somebody, like when I do coaching with people, not specifically around dating, but
Mhm.
just like life coaching,
Mhm.
a lot of people, they say they want one thing. Always say, watch what you do. Look at your patterns. Look at your behaviors, because
Mhm.
that's what you really want. Up
Mhm.
here, you're saying, I want to be like this. I want to eat healthy all the time, and then you're going to McDonald's every
Mhm.
afternoon.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like look at what they do. Do you help guys to be more honest with like just what they want? Do you want monogamy? Do you want
Mhm.
openness?
Mhm.
Are you
Mhm.
truly comfortable with
Yeah.
either,
Yeah.
or are you sort of not being true to yourself? Like, how do you help individuals become identify what it is they want
Mhm.
so that
Mhm.
you can help them find what they truly want
Mhm.
as opposed to whatever?
Right. What to find what is truly compatible, right? So most of my guys are over 40, and it, they know what they want in life. So they say. So we question about like preferences, about compatibility. Like, where did you learn that from? Who taught you that? Why do you subscribe to that belief system? Okay, if you do, great. Let's try, experiencing that. Like some guys say they want a guy to make all the decisions when they come home from work, because during their jobs every day, they're making all the decisions. So when they come home, they want their partner to lead. And I'm like, really? What if he comes up with something that you really don't agree with? And you have set the dynamic that he is making the decisions. You don't like that now, right? So how about we have some equity in a relationship where it's a back and forth where you both are making decisions? So I really challenge my clients about where they come up with those different belief systems about preferences and compatibility.
Maybe you could say just a little bit about how, I mean, somebody might not want to, or might not be ready to call you and say, I'm ready to jump headfirst in and work with you. What are the different ways people can get to know you, can learn more about you, can interact with you? I know that you do some social events and stuff like that. I'm wondering if you could just say, like, aside from like, find me my husband level coaching, what other ways can people with commitment issues
like they're like the really the
all
push
of
the
us
go button, right? So if you're not ready to do matchmaking or dating coaching with me, you can actually go, or guys can go on to my YouTube channel. It's The Gay Dating Coach, and I have a lot of content there. Or you can Google The Gay Dating Coach. I've done a lot of podcast interviews like today, where I drop some nuggets, some gems for free that people can check out. Also, I'm on Instagram, The Gay Dating Coach. I do a dating show for singles every Wednesday, which is hilarious.
I'm sure.
Yes. And on Thursdays, I'm on YouTube where I'm giving dating advice live to singles and couples. So if you have commitment issues, check out my social media. You'll be able to find some nuggets.
I will definitely link to all of this. I have one final question, and this again might be a question for another podcast, or it's a big one, but I'm curious. Are there issues that you see that are more unique to one, since we're talking about interracial dating? Are there sort of blockages that you tend to see more with white guys, or more with black guys, or more with Asian guys or Latino guys around gay dating that could become in other words, if I have my own set of blocks around dating, and you have your own set of blocks based on the way you were raised and culture and race and all of that, those are things that I might not be aware of. You might not be aware of my stuff. Are there things that should be on all our radar? Like, it might be harder for the white guys to do this, or for the black guys to do that, or is it just sort of spread all over the place? We all have our own mixed bag of weirdness.
Right. So the great question, because there are different nuances or challenges for each. For white guys, it's totally different from Asian. From Asian guys, it's different from black guys, and it has to do with our cultural influences. So some are more, supportive of dating outside your race. Others not so much. So it's really different. I think the overarching theme really is expectations. When I say expectations, sometimes when you look at dating outside of the race, sometimes guys have to really be clear that it's not transactional. And that's what sometimes people want to date outside of the race, because there's some type of transaction they're getting that is less meaningful than dating someone genuinely just because of who they are.
I love chatting with you. We talked before, like, just to see if we wanted to do this interview. I loved that conversation. I've loved this conversation. I would love to do more conversations like this. And I really appreciate, I mean, there's so much I appreciate about you, but the elephant in the room thing, I feel like, just whether it's dating or these uncomfortable conversations, frequently about race, but about other things as well, that everybody just wants to not talk about. It prevents us from understanding each other and from growing. And I really appreciate your courage and being willing to do that. I think it's how I feel like I've grown just by chatting with you. And
that is the goal, Darren. That just like going to the gym, you want to get muscles or abs. Sometimes it hurts. But if you don't, and I hate doing sit-ups, but if I want, a slimmer stomach, I have to do that. And just like if I want to grow as a better person, if I want to be more dateable or show up better in my marriage, I have to have uncomfortable conversations frequently so that I can continue to be the best version of myself.
Well, thank you so much. Lamont White, the gay dating coach. The website is betterwaytomeet.com. And I will put links to that website, his gay dating gay wellness profile. God, I'm a mess today.
A lot of gays over. A lot of
gays, a lot of dating, and I'm not very good at doing either.
Gay wellness and just gay, yes.
Yeah. And of course, to some of your YouTube videos and other content so people can get to know you a little bit better that way. And of course, if you would like some support in your dating and love life, I would definitely give Lamont a call or check out his website. Lamont, thank you so much. I look forward to chatting with you again.